Just when we thought the COVID pandemic was over, winter is here. Germs are once again spreading at a rapid rate, and we're starting to see COVID cases spreading around. Obviously, things are much different than they used to be. We are not as, terrified anymore. We have a lot more information. And so, people are a little bit more relaxed with COVID and the spreading of symptoms and things like that. But one thing that I have been asked a lot by a lot of pet parents, and it seems to be coming back around again, I think because the winter months are here and everyone's getting sick. I've been asked frequently, can dogs catch COVID? People are worried that, if they get COVID, you can quarantine from your human family members pretty easily, but it's really hard to stay away from your pets. When you're not feeling well, you want to snuggle and cuddle, and especially if you can't be near your human family members, you want that companionship of your pet. But should you be worried that your dog is going to catch COVID from you? So I talked to my veterinarian. I also did a ton of research, and I did find information directly from the Center for Disease Control, the CDC. They are still offering guidance, and there is currently no evidence that shows dogs can spread COVID-19. They agree with that statement. However, there is a lot more to it than just that. Coronaviruses are a large family of viruses, one of which is COVID-19. Some of these viruses cause illnesses in people, while others cause illnesses in certain types of animals. There are coronaviruses that infect animals and then can be spread to humans. Once a human contracts the disease, it spreads from human to human. Now, according to the CDC, this is very rare with COVID-19. This is also not the first time that a coronavirus has been spread from animals to humans. Back in 2002, severe acute respiratory syndrome, better known as SARS, that started to break out around the world. And that is another example of a coronavirus that started in animals and spread to humans. It is suspected that COVID-19 is pretty much the same thing, that it started with animals and spread to humans. The CDC says the virus that causes COVID-19 can spread from people to animals during close contact. Pets worldwide, including cats and dogs, have been infected with the virus that causes COVID-19, mostly after close contact with people who have the disease. But the risk of pets spreading COVID-19 to people is low. So what does that mean? Essentially, in layman's terms, you can spread COVID-19 to your pets if you're in very close contact with them. However, it's very less likely that pets are going to spread it to you. So, for example, if somebody in your house has COVID-19 and they pass it on to your dog, and then your dog visits with some of the other members of your family and they pet him, they kiss him, they snuggle him, it's very, very unlikely that your dog is going to be spreading the virus like it spreads from human to human. If you are worried about catching COVID from your pet, there is some advice that was put out from the American Veterinary Medical Association, their chief veterinary officer. Her name is Gail Golab, and you can click the link below this video to see all of this information and sources and things like that. But what she said was, and this is a direct quote, "We're not overly concerned about people contracting COVID-19 through contact with dogs and cats. The virus survives best on a smooth surface such as countertops and doorknobs. Porous materials such as pet fur tend to absorb and trap pathogens, making it harder to contract them through touch." So basically, your pet's fur is porous and it's going to absorb those virus-causing germs, and it's really unlikely that by petting your dog, you're going to pick those up. However, it is spread off of hard surfaces like countertops and doorknobs, which is why, they say that when you have it, you should quarantine, not touch anything, wipe down everything after you touch it, that sort of thing. It spreads very easily from people to people because of that, but not so easy from pets to people. So back to our original question, can dogs catch COVID? The answer is yes. Yes, they can. If you have COVID-19 and have a pet, you first of all should isolate yourself from everyone else, including your pet, except to provide basic care. So if you live alone with your pet and there's no other humans in the home to take care of your pet, you don't want to just lock yourself in your bedroom and not take care of your dog. You can be, close enough to feed him. Try to be as safe as possible while doing so. But if possible and there's somebody else in your home, quarantine yourself in your bedroom and let everybody else take care of your pets. Avoid petting, snuggling, being kissed or licked, sharing food or bedding with your pet. I know it's hard because you don't feel well, and the one thing you really want to do is snuggle with your pet. But unfortunately, while you are contagious with COVID, you should not do that. If you care for your pet or are around animals while you're sick, wear a face mask. Obviously, we've heard that for the last few years, that wearing face masks can help stop the spread of COVID-19, and wash your hands before handling your animal's bowls or food, any of their waste supplies, anything like that. And also just make sure that you clean up after yourself and after your pet to try to avoid the spread that way. If you have COVID-19 and your pet becomes sick, don't take your pet to the vet by yourself if you can help it. Instead, contact your vet. They may offer advice through a virtual visit or make another plan for treating your pet. Testing is usually only recommended for pets that have symptoms and have been exposed to a person with COVID-19. And there's really not a whole lot of treatment out there. Typically, unless your pet is having really severe symptoms, they're going to recommend all the things that you would do. Like if your pet had a cold, you're gonna let them rest, make sure they stay hydrated, make sure that they're eating, all of that stuff. You're just gonna try to care for them at home for the most part, like I said, unless they have really severe symptoms. So you don't have to rush to the veterinarian. Call them, explain what's going on, and ask for their advice, but it's not likely that you're going to have to go in for a visit. Typically, they'll give you advice on how to treat that at home. If you're watching this video, it might just be because you're curious. It may be because you have COVID-19 and you're worried about your pet. You should be looking for symptoms of COVID-19 in your dog, which would include fever, coughing, difficulty breathing, shortness of breath, lethargy, sneezing, nose and eye discharge, maybe some vomiting or diarrhea if it's a really serious case. So, keep an eye on your dog. Obviously, if you're worried that he's going to contract a disease, you're probably going to be keeping a pretty close eye on him anyway, but just monitor him for those symptoms. And, if you do believe your dog has COVID-19, if he's tested positive, you're going to follow the same guidelines that you would basically if a human family member had contracted the disease. You're going to want to isolate your pet in a separate room away from the rest of your family as well as other pets. Keep your dog home, no doggy daycare, no trips to the dog park. You can certainly go for a walk. Obviously, your dog still needs to go outside to use the restroom, but make sure that you go for a walk somewhere where he's not going to be around other pets or other people. Do not, and I cannot stress this enough, do not put a face mask on your dog. And you may think that that sounds crazy, but I have seen people do it. Do not do that. Do not wipe your pet down with disinfectant if you think that you can clean their fur that way. That is really harmful and going to be detrimental to your pet. So don't put a face mask on them. Don't wipe them down with disinfectant. Call your veterinarian if you feel concerned, if the symptoms start to get worse. If your pet does become sick, most pets that have been tested positive for COVID-19, some of them didn't show any symptoms at all. Most of them had very mild symptoms and could be cared for at home. There are very few pets. It's been extremely rare that pets have become seriously ill from this disease. So don't panic. There's a very good chance that your dog's just going to need a little bit of extra rest and some extra fluids, and he's going to be back to normal in a few weeks.